Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about a topic that actually one of you, my viewers, have requested, and that is how to develop a brand when you are starting a nonprofit organization. One thing I learned early on is that a brand is more than just the colors on your website, your logo, or your graphic design. It is all about that plus your actions, your values, your attitudes, and generally how you make people feel when they interact with your organization. When I was first learning about that, it sounded kind of like magical and fluffy, but I saw the power of this over time, and I'm convinced that a strong brand really can help your organization raise more dollars, recruit more volunteers, and generally create a sense of loyalty among your team and your audience if it's done right. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the steps to create a strong brand for your organization, whether you are starting a nonprofit or growing it. If we haven't met before, my name is Amber Melanie Smith, and I am a nonprofit founder and executive director. I make these videos here about once a week on starting a nonprofit, social impact, making a difference, and all of the topics related to those things. So I hope you find this video useful and helpful to you. If so, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. So here we go, the steps to develop a strong brand for your nonprofit organization. The first step, and honestly this step is the first thing you should do in most anything that you're doing for your nonprofit, and that is to start with your organization's mission and vision. When we're talking about a brand though, what we want to do is think about what is the story of the world that we want to create. Is it a world without hunger? A world without wars, without bigotry? These are the types of things we want to think about to tell the story of our organization, because this story is what you're going to build your brand around, that vision for the future that inspires people to get involved. Once you've got that mission and vision and the story about the world that you want to create sort of locked down in your head, you want to next, in step 2, think through your values. And this means basically what are the attitudes and behaviors you're going to have that will be rules for how you're going to achieve your mission. These are values like accountability and transparency. So if that was one of your organization's top values, I would expect you to show where you spend your money and the types of impacts you're making. I would also expect you to talk about any mistakes that you make and what you're learning from them. I want to basically have an insight into all of the honest parts about how your organization is run. Another value might be putting a premium on relationships. So just valuing relationships above all else. So that would mean that you are treating your donors, your volunteers, your community partners, anyone who's interacting with you, who has a relationship with you, authentically. You're treating them with kindness, even if they can't benefit you in some way. The relationship is more important than what they can give you. That would be a way I would expect you to act if relationships were top value for your organization. So anyway, you get the idea. What you want to do is you want to write down with your board of directors or just brainstorming with your team what your organization's top 3 to 5 values are for the work that you do, because this is going to be incorporated into your brand as well. Like I said before, a brand is all about how people feel and how people perceive you when they are interacting with you. And that includes how you're treating them and their expectations of how you're going to treat them. So step 3 is making sure that you have everything aligned. So you want to make sure that the way you run your programs, your marketing, your fundraising, the way you're treating volunteers, you want to make sure that everything aligns with the first thing, which was the vision for the world you wanted to create, and the second thing, which was the values that you stated were the most important for your organization. Everything needs to be in alignment. Your brand makes a promise to the people you interact with about how you're going to treat them. So if you break that promise, if you do something that doesn't align with your brand, with their expectations of you, then you're going to lose trust and you're going to lose support. And that means less fundraising success, less volunteers, and ultimately, because of those things, a decreased ability to achieve your mission. So what's an example of misalignment? Let's say you run a nonprofit that promotes mental well-being, mental health for your community, but As an organization, you don't have a policy that allows for your board, your staff, or your volunteers to also practice mental well-being. That makes you a hypocrite. That means you are not aligning with your values in all aspects of what you do as an organization. This damages the integrity of your brand. So once again, when you're building a brand, all aspects of the organization, from how you lead to the policies you have, to the colors of your logo, everything needs to align and feels like it goes together. One way to accomplish that is through the step 4, which is developing a brand personality. So, building a brand personality. Once you've got your mission, your vision, your values, and your programs and fundraising and policies all in alignment with one another, all matching the values and the expectations people have of your organization, then you can build a brand personality to start fleshing out the messaging, the logo, the colors, the graphic design strategies, and all of that tangible stuff to go with your brand to make it all a cohesive, strong brand. So I actually think this is a really fun exercise. When you are building a brand personality, what you want to do is you want to pretend that your organization is a single individual human being and ask yourself, what is that individual human being's personality like? What are the words that describe that person's personality? So if your organization were a single person, would they be warm and kind and diplomatic? Or would they be tough and no nonsense and innovative? So think about that and write down 4 to 5 words that you feel capture the personality of your organization as if they were a person, a friend of yours. And the great thing about this is the words that you choose will later become part of a creative brief that you could give to marketing professionals or branding professionals or graphic designers who will help you create logo and other branding assets. They're going to look at those words that you chose and they're going to come up with designs, font choices, colors, etc., that they think match the personality that you've described. So step 5, now we're getting into some real tangibles here, and this is to, if you haven't already, pick a name for your organization that matches everything else we've talked about so far. So you want to make sure that whatever name you choose, or if you are rebranding, you chose a name before and you want to change it now, that the new name matches the personality we talked about, the values, and it describes what your organization does in a clear, compelling, and interesting way. I actually have a whole other video that you can check out about how to pick a great name for your nonprofit when you are starting an organization or rebranding. Check that out. I talk through a checklist of all of the things that make a name memorable and good. So when you're thinking of a name for your organization and trying to match it to the words that you chose previously for your brand personality, you want to be aiming to match the energy of the name with those words. A great example is the organization Doctors Without Borders. I want you to think about, what does that name invoke for you? What does it make you think of? What does it make you feel? For me, the brand personality words that come to mind when I hear Doctors Without Borders are intrepid, brave, courageous, competent, skilled. You get the idea. Let's try another one. Best Friends Animal Society. What does that name make you think of? When you hear that, what is your expectation of what that organization will act like, be like, what their website might look like? For me, I think of the words warm, family, friendliness, kindness. If you get stuck, try brainstorming a list of 5 or 6 potential names for your organization and compare them to the list of brand personality words that you came up with. And just ask yourself, does it feel like they fit? Does it feel right? And ask others the same thing. Step 6 is to continue with some of the tangible aspects of your brand. So now we're talking about logos, colors, graphics, graphic styling, etc. There's all sorts of interesting color psychology that I'm not going to go in depth into in this video about choosing colors for your brand, for your organization, and how different colors potentially make people feel different ways. For example, blue is said to invoke feelings of trustworthiness. And purple, for example, makes people think of innovation, creativity, and artistic talent. Orange and yellow and red are high energy colors, and they might invoke a sense of urgency. So do your research, and you want to pick colors that match everything we've talked about, your brand personality words, the name, etc. Then you want to make sure your graphic styling matches everything too, in your fonts, your shapes, and your logo, everything like that, the graphics you use on your website or in other marketing collateral. There is a great website that talks about how shapes are also impacted by psychology, just like colors. So for example, circles make people think of unity and togetherness, whereas square or angular shapes might unconsciously make us think of professionalism or strength. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I think it's really fascinating. Okay, so the 7th step, now you've got your colors, your logo, your name, your values, all that stuff is worked out and hopefully in alignment. Now you want to be thinking about the way you talk to people in your messaging on your website, the language you're using on social media. You want to develop a guide for language rules. Based on your brand personality that you worked out, how would your organization, if it were a person, talk to people around them? What kinds of words or tone fit that brand personality? Would they use warm and friendly language? Would they be more assertive in their tone? An organization that serves children, for example, is probably going to be a lot more playful in their tone than an organization that is tackling a serious illness. The 8th and final step to developing a strong brand is essentially to make sure that everyone is on board. You want to train your board members, you want to train your staff, you want to train your volunteers how to use everything that your brand has developed, from the word choices that you've selected and your tone and how you talk on social media or on your website, to the colors and the fonts that you're using, to the values that you outlined are important to you as an organization. And the best way to do this is to create a brand rules document for your team and train them how to use it. You want to include everything from example language that your organization might use, things to not use. For example, our organization is warm and friendly and serves kids, so please don't swear in social media posts that you make for our organization. All the way down to the tangibles, like the fonts that your marketing team members should be using on your website and social media, the colors, you can put the hex code so that they get the exact right color when they're making graphic elements for your organization, and website updates. Train all of your folks, your board members, your volunteers, your staff, on how to live and act and perform in alignment with your brand. And better yet, start now and only recruit people that will align with the values and the vision for your organization. Then you'll make everything align from here on out a lot more smoothly. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. Where are you in the process of creating your organization's brand personality? What are your triumphs, your struggles? Share in the comments below and we will help you out. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video if you found it useful and helpful. Like I said before, I make videos on nonprofit social impact topics every week. Go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell if you want to get alerts every time I post a new video. And final thing, I have a group on Facebook that is awesome, of course I'm biased, called Change the World or Bust, where myself and about 700 other change makers from around the world are just having some really good conversations about our work to make an impact and encouraging each other along the way. I hope you liked this video, I hope you found it useful and helpful, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks, bye.